Hey, it's just so Trish, and I just wanted to jump on here and make this video because it is all over the news that the 4-H camp has 30 kids plus sick and adults in the whole 9 yards. I don't know if you've seen it. So today's Friday. Last night it reported around 9 o'clock last night, and I just wanted to clarify it for what I know about it, and I just kind of wanted to talk about it because my kid was the first kid sick there. Okay, so seriously, my kid was the first kid sick. In fact, the camp was to go to today at 11 o'clock, and I had to pick. I got called at 9 o'clock yesterday morning. And so here's like the big things I want you to know. With Katie has all the food intolerances. She's kind of like the indicator organism. You know, like when they do scientific studies, if things are going to happen or whatever's happening to the ecosystem, there's always an indicator species. And that indicator species, just their body metabolizes things so much quicker. I feel bad I'm like comparing my child to a tadpole. But with her immune system, or not even immune system, but with her digestive issues and stuff, it makes sense. She's an indicator species for a group of kids. But I'm going to tell you, so I got the phone call that happened. I picked her up like in about 3 hours because it's quite a ways for us to get there. And I had to, you know, get kids in the whole 9 yards. And I went ahead and I chose to bring all my kids home just because I didn't want to turn around the next day and come back and go get them. So I brought all my kids home. I can't even begin to tell you, and this is one of the things I love about 4-H. The staff are phenomenal. The volunteers are phenomenal. So what typically happens at camp is, especially when they do like a week-long camp, and these camps are the best. My kids came home through the vomiting. It was the best camp ever. You know, they're like through the vomiting, talking about how much fun and what a great time they have at camp. And even though they're vomiting, like, they still love camp. So what camp is, the summer camp, and they typically run 3 to 5 days, and several counties, depending on the county counts, will come together and get to be with each other. And it's really cool because my kids have friends around the state, so this is their time to really get in with those kids. And so each county would bring their kids and a couple, you know, typically the county agent, maybe a 4-H leader, a couple 4-H leaders, and they bring their kids. And then the really cool part is the volunteers and that brought the kids are kind of like point of contacts, and they get to lay low in the county or the camps. And there's like, Florida has several camps, I think 3 or 4 camps, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 camps, I don't know, different campgrounds, and they have staff that live there all year round. They keep this place, that's their baby. And they have kitchen staff, they have all their staff, and then they bring in for the summer, typically college students will come in and they get trained on all the things to run the camp. And so your everyday 4-H volunteers that your kids see all the time kind of take a back seat, and they're just kind of doing background stuff while your kids get a whole nother exposure. The staff is phenomenal. The food people are phenomenal. Everybody, 4-H just does an amazing job hiring and keeping phenomenal volunteers and staff, you know, phenomenal people that work with your kids. So when I got there, my child had like 4 adults to her. They had, you know, they had the bucket for her. I think, no, the bucket's in the house. They had a bucket for her. They had waters for her. They were keeping her comfortable, you know, until I came to get her. So I brought her home, and last night around 3, or yesterday, so I brought her home, but we got home by noon. And you know, I started, of course, me as mom, I'm like pumping her with kombucha. Actually, it was the worst smell on the ride home, and I'm just like, I'm sucking it up because that's just how it is. So we left the camp. I stopped at the first grocery store. I got her kefir. I got her milk kefir, because who wants to drink milk kefir when you're throwing up? But she didn't mind it at all. I bought her a kombucha, and then there weren't any cultured vegetables, so I didn't buy her any cultured vegetables at the store, but I bought her ginger ale, you know, ginger ale, those things. So bless her heart, we had like these little cups like this, and she'd fill it up with kefir, drink some water, throw it all back up. But I didn't care, because I'm like, you know, if it's a stomach bug, and especially if you watch Cultured Food Life, and I listen to Donna's podcast a lot, and just talking about like when you get a bug, and you really need to make sure you're re-inoculating the microbes in your gut. So that's what I worked on. I just was constantly re-inoculated. I'm like, even if that milk kefir's in there for a minute or two, it doesn't matter. There's some of those inoculating, and then we'll just keep putting it through. So needless to say, the ride home smelled like blueberries. Oh, not good, but whatever. You know, she was good. She was hydrated. She was good. She just, you know, it's a stomach, whatever. I don't even know we don't even know what caused it. And so we got home, and 3 o'clock, my daughter Lottie starts in. So that was Katie. 3 o'clock, Lottie starts in. And she doesn't have it as bad as Katie, but she still, you know, had it pretty bad. And so we've been taking care of that. Bubba came home, doesn't have it. He's a little bit like, oh, I'm kind of queasy to my stomach. Not for nothing, I've been listening to 2 girls puke for 12 hours. I'm kind of queasy to my stomach too. So anyway, so that happened. And then all of a sudden, 9 o'clock at night, I'm getting phone calls because it hit the news that the kids got taken to the hospital from camp, and because of they're vomiting and nauseous, and they have headaches. And I'm kind of like, okay. And I'm like, of course I'm texting, like, what the heck is going on? But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I already brought my kid home because of that. It must be something going through. So now we have the news. Now you want to talk about, like, so here's like my whole spin on this. Now we have the news, and my kids are just like, I'll talk about a lesson learned. They're watching the news, and they're like, why are they making, you know, essentially the kids are sick. The kids went to the hospital. Why did the kids go to the hospital? You have 33 kids vomiting. You do not have enough toilets. This is camp. You know, camp can handle like 1 or 2 sick kids. You know, give them a bucket. We got this covered. But you get a third of your camp throwing up. You don't really have the accommodations. And on top of it, it's camp. You know, camp is kind of, you know, it's one of the nicer camps because it has air conditioning in the rooms. But, you know, you're supposed to be roughing it. You don't want to be roughing it when you are vomiting. So it makes sense. You know, you take them out. They don't, you know, camp isn't set up to accommodate a third of the campers being sick. So that just makes sense. But it's like crazy because the news is sensationalizing it. We even seen one where there's this picture or video or whatever of like 3 ambulances. Only to realize that's archived from the Keys and has nothing to do with this situation. And my kids are watching, they're like, those aren't our people. And just, they're all of a sudden realizing from this situation, like the news is like making it out like mass hysteria. And my kids are like, why are they making this sound so much worse? Now granted, you know, it's hot. We're in Florida. It's humid. You can get hot really quick. We might have had a few kids dehydrated before we got sick. We don't know what caused the sickness, but it can happen anywhere. In fact, like my kids are already like, do you think we can go back and make up the day? And I'm like, no, I don't think so. They're like, but I want to go back and finish camp. I'm like, I can't. It doesn't work like that. So anyways, I just wanted to put that out there. I'm going to put in the description below all the header news that I found. I'm just going to copy it and put the link where it came from. But just read it with like the knowledge that, oh my goodness, this whole experience has got me a bit like, really? With the news. Just absolutely shocked. I just can't say enough about, especially, it's at Camp Cloverleaf in Florida, which is in Lake Placid. I cannot say enough about the staff. I cannot say enough about Steve and Bill, who are the directors of that camp. They are phenomenal people. In fact, there's nobody else, in all honesty of it. I was kind of cracking a joke before, like, we knew everybody was going to get sick, of course. When I went to pick her up, I'm like, you know, she's probably just going to be sick for the next 24 hours. Can't I just leave her with you and y'all take care of her? Because I'm joking, of course I'm joking, but you know, I trust them that much. There's nobody else on the crew of people that were there that I would ever trust my sick kids with. I literally, all those kids were in good hands. Now, the part I feel bad about are the poor adults. Apparently 3 of them got sick, of the adults, and I just feel, I could not imagine, glad it wasn't my shift, I could not imagine being at camp with 115 kids and 30 or 40 of them are sick. Whoo, talk about a crazy stressful night. So definitely prayers going out to those kids and those adults. Bless their hearts, you know, and just like keep that in mind, and just please show 4-H some love. It can happen anywhere. And I mean, and just like on the praise part, I'd rather it happen at 4-H than anywhere else, because I know those kids are taken care of. That's, you know, that's where I'm at on it. So leave me a comment. Have you had bad camp experiences? I'm going to tell you, we went to church camp last year, and it, unfortunately, it was the impetigo, summer of impetigo. We had one child show up with impetigo, one good shaving cream fight, impetigo everywhere. It was between like 3 or 4 churches. The one church follows that Camp Up with VBS, which then has like half the county had impetigo that summer. These things happen, you know, these things happen. It's not everybody's good. Everybody's gonna be good. We're at the 12-hour, we passed the 12-hour mark. Everybody stops being sick. They're exhausted, but you know, they're exhausted from an awesome camp and or exhausted from 12 hours of vomiting. You know, it's kind of one of those, it's like, you know, it hadn't been a great experience unless somebody goes home puking, which was kind of what happened 3 weeks ago at another camp I was at. But different kids at different places, so it happens. Anyways, tell me about your camp experiences. Tell me about your 4-H camp experiences that you remember. Put them in the comments. You're getting sick at camp, any camp. Tell me about it. I mean, that's just how it rolls. And remember, I'm just so Trish, Mama 6, homeschooling, stay at home. Just encouragement from the trenches of motherhood. And listen, it's all well. Getting sick makes you stronger sometimes, most of the time. Anywho, we'll talk to you later. Bye.